everybody. Welcome to Cryptids and Critters Paranormal. I'm your host, the Deuster. I got a little story I want to share with you today, a little bit of American history. I'm pretty sure most of y'all have heard the Don McLean song, American Pie. I'm pretty sure you tried to figure out some of the lyrics. They're kind of hard to follow, but I'm going to kind of put this in proper perspective for you. I call this one The Day the Music Died. On February the 3rd, 1959, 22-year-old Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, who was age 29 at the time, and 17-year-old Richie Valens died in a plane crash shortly after takeoff from Clear Lake, Iowa. The pilot of the single-engine Beechcraft Bonanza was also killed. Buddy hired the plane after heating problems developed on their tour bus. All three were traveling to Fargo, North Dakota for the next show on their winter dance party tour, which Holly had planned to make some money off of after the breakup of his band, Buddy Holly and the Crickets, the previous year. The winter dance party tour was planned to cover 24 cities in just 3 weeks, a very grueling schedule, and Buddy Holly was to be the biggest headliner. Waylon Jennings, one of his friends from Lubbock, Texas, and Tommy Alsop joined the tour as backup musicians. Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, and Dion and the Belmonts made up the list of other performers. The grueling tour schedule had taken the acts to the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa the previous night. Due to mechanical difficulty with their chartered bus, the group arrived at the Surf Ballroom less than 2 hours before their performance was to begin. The ballroom was packed with over 1,500 fans, many of whom had driven hundreds of miles on snow-covered roads just to see the stars perform. But Buddy was fed up with the chartered bus with its faulty heater, so before the performance, he asked Carol Anderson, who was the manager of the Surf Ballroom, about renting a chartered plane to fly him to his next destination in Moorhead, Minnesota. Anderson then called Roger Peterson, who was a pilot with Dwyer Flying Service in nearby Mason City, who agreed to take Buddy plus 2 others to Moorhead. After an amazing performance that night, the group got ready to travel to their next show on the tour bus. Buddy climbed aboard the 1947 Beechcraft Bonanza aircraft destined for Fargo, North Dakota, which was the nearest airport to Moorhead. 2 other members of the group had the option to fly with Buddy at $36 per person. That would have been Waylon Jennings, who was Buddy's bassist, and Dion DiMucci. Dion didn't want to pay the extra money, and he opted to take the tour bus. Waylon jumped at the chance to fly with Buddy. At the last minute, he let Giles Perry, J.P. Richardson, better known as the Big Bopper, have his seat on the plane as he was suffering from the flu. Tommy Alsop, Buddy's backup guitarist, was originally included in the group, but Richie Valens offered to flip him for the seat since he was ill. The local host of the winter dance party, Bob Hale, flipped a coin. Richie called heads and won the toss. Years later, Tommy Alsop would open a dance club named the Heads Up Saloon to commemorate this life-saving coin toss. Before the plane took off, Buddy told Waylon, "I hope your old bus freezes up," to which Waylon retorted, "Well, I hope your damned old plane crashes," a remark that would haunt Waylon for the rest of his life. The plane took off around 1 a.m. from Mason City Airport into a blinding snowstorm and crashed only minutes later in a cornfield, killing Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, Richie Valens, and the pilot, Roger Peterson. Because the plane didn't catch fire when it crashed, no one noticed the wreckage until the next day, about a quarter mile from the nearest country road. Only the pilot's body was found inside the wreckage that morning, as the three performers were ejected from the plane on impact. The Civil Aeronautics Board concluded that the primary cause of the crash was pilot error, due to the 21-year-old Peterson's inability to accurately interpret the newly installed altitude indicator, which he was forced to rely on in the poor weather conditions. The theory was that Peterson may have read the gyroscope backwards, and as a result of vertigo, and he thought that the plane was actually gaining altitude when it was actually descending. There were rumors circulating years after the crash that there may have been a pistol discharged in the plane, causing the crash. It was also rumored that Richardson may have actually crawled away from the wreckage. These rumors were later proven false in an autopsy conducted in January 2007 at UT in Knoxville. The autopsy was requested by Richardson's son, Jay, who was born 2 months after the crash that killed his father. The autopsy determined that the Big Bopper had indeed died on impact. His body was placed in a new casket and reburied beside his wife in the Forest Lawn Cemetery in Beaumont, Texas. Richard Stephen Valenzuela, whose stage name was Richie Valens, was laid to rest in the San Fernando Mission Cemetery in Los Angeles, California. Buddy Holly's funeral was held at the Tabernacle Baptist Church in Lubbock, Texas. Sadly, his wife had a miscarriage the day after the crash and could not attend her husband's funeral, where well over 1,000 mourners attended the service. Buddy was buried in the city cemetery in Lubbock, Texas. A funeral service for pilot Roger Peterson was held on February the 6th at the St. Paul Lutheran Church in his hometown of Alta, Iowa. He was buried in Buena Vista Memorial Cemetery in nearby Storm Lake. Peterson's parents would later receive condolence letters from the families of Holly and Valens. In June 1988, a 4-foot-tall granite memorial bearing the names of Peterson and the three entertainers was dedicated outside the Surf Ballroom, with Peterson's widow, parents, and sister in attendance. The event marked the first time that the families of Holly, Richardson, Valens, and Peterson had gotten together. The death of Holly, Valens, and Richardson is now commonly referred to as the day the music died, after Don McLean immortalized the tragedy with his 1971 hit, American Pie. McLean first learned about Buddy Holly's death while delivering newspapers on the morning of February the 3rd, 1959, and in his song uses the line, "February made me shiver with every paper I deliver." McLean sums it up with the lyrics, "And the three men I admire the most, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, all took the last plane for the coast the day the music died." Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel, like, share it with your friends and family. Once again, this is the Dooster of Cryptids and Critters Paranormal. I'm wishing you an awesome day. Thanks for watching.